Hey, this is Notser, and this is the Tier 8 U.S. destroyer Benson. It has 4 main guns, 10 torpedoes, 12 AA guns, a surface detection of 6.4 kilometers, top speed 38.5 knots, total health 15,400. For my modules, reduced crit chance on main battery and propulsion, faster torpedo aim, faster rudder shift, and concealment. For my commander, situational awareness, faster turret traverse, lower cooldown on torpedoes, superintendent, and last stand. We are on the map north. I spawned in on the north side and I headed for B, and B is contested. An enemy is probably hiding behind that island, that small island on the southeast side at B area, and we're trying to find him. Now, we don't want to put ourselves in danger, but we obviously want to take him out while limiting the amount of threats they can fire on a position. We're going to stick ourselves right up against the island and fire over it. The U.S. destroyer firing arc is rather high, so they have a better chance of firing over obstacles than, say, the Japanese destroyer. And we're just confirming we are spotted, so we pop our smoke. Hopefully the friendly cruiser will spot the enemy Mayhan, and I can fire on his position while remaining in the smoke. It's a fantastic strategy that destroyers can make use of, but it requires a friendly to do the spotting. The enemy Mayhan is leaving the area, it appears. He dropped off radar, however, and I didn't see where he went, but he did look like he was making a break for it. And he's still interrupting my ability to capture B. I can see that. I'm sitting in B, and it's not going up at all. We have successfully killed an enemy cruiser. We are in the process of taking C. We've just taken D. Looks like there's an enemy destroyer interrupting the ability to capture C also. But most of my team is fighting over A, while a couple of us are trying to take B and C. And this is a kind of a standoff situation. I know that he popped his smoke before I popped my smoke, so it's going to disappear before mine disappears. And I figure I will take that opportunity to fire on his position if the friendly is spotting for me. If he's not, it's kind of a risk because I am threatening my life to kill this guy. I think it's worth it. I kind of fight in a situation where I believe I can take anyone 1v1 if the situation is ideal. And this is an ideal situation. He cannot call on the support of his team. He has to fight me straight up. We send torpedoes at the last known position. Hopefully the smoke will hide the torpedoes until they make contact with the enemy. It's a narrow spread because we don't really know where he is. We want to keep the torpedoes as tightly packed. And I'm like, oh crap! Enemy destroyer. Close by. He's going to spot me. We're going to fire through the smoke. Since apparently he hasn't, you can see he's well within the detection range, but he sees us now. So we've either moved out of the torpedo range or the smoke has dissipated. We're taking fire from both sides. We land on the enemy destroyer, but our torpedoes are going to take out the Mayhan. 2 make contact, devastating strike. Now we need to work on this enemy destroyer. Probably sent torpedoes. We need to be very careful not to run into them. Most likely they'll come right in front of us. We do know this guy is close by. We don't know exactly where he went. We need to be very careful. Now, I'm moving towards the area I believe he could have potentially sent torpedoes, because I'm thinking he might predict that I would head north. I have a friendly cruiser north of my position. I'm going to hopefully use him, and we're so close. We're less than 2 kilometers. I actually am spotted by him. The aircraft made the first contact with his ship, but because we're within 2 kilometers, he spots me. I get out of range of the 2 kilometers, send out torpedoes, and of course he changes his heading at the last second. Those torpedoes are not going to be useful. He sends out all his torpedoes, it appears, to try and take out a friendly cruiser. So we can go after him without any threat of torpedo strikes on our ship. We fire on the Mutsuki. He has to hold steady or he's going to take the torpedoes. Huge mistake. Take him out. He didn't really have a good strategy, but he put himself in that position. If you overcommit that much, you deserve to die. I've done it too. There's going to be a video probably a couple days where I overcommit in a scenario similar. and about the same outcome. So we're going to capture B. The enemy is trying to capture D. We have an enemy cruiser incoming to our position. We have C, but we don't have anyone near C. Looks like we've lost everyone. Still, no one has captured A. Interestingly, it seems like we've just lost a lot of ships that have either over-pursued or they have not done enough damage to the enemy to take control of the area. So this cruiser could choose to come towards B. He sees that it's being captured. The friendly cruiser spots an enemy Sims, and we're going to wait. What are you going to do, enemy Sims? Are you going to pop out of the island on the east side? Or are you going to come back west so I can fire on you? I don't have line of sight if he chooses to come west. I'm hoping that he'll decide, yeah, he's going to go away. He's going to go towards C, and we're going to pick him up and fire on his position. He's slowly creeping out. Well, I see where you are, Sims. He's not looking in my position. So we land our first shot. Land the second. Friendly Cleveland goes across our face, and he fires and he kills him. Alright, cool. Cleveland's barely alive, going up against an enemy Cleveland. We're going to try and level the playing field. We're leaving the safety. We figure that Cleveland's not going to fire on our position because he wants to kill my friendly Cleveland. So we're just going to unload on this guy. Every gun we got. If you want to fire on me, you give up the chance to kill the Cleveland. That is the deal I've made. And this Cleveland is melting between me and the friendly Cleveland. Friendly Cleveland finishes him off. But he's barely alive, and there's an enemy battleship that can fire at any moment a North Carolina. That's very scary. We really want to capture B and see what goes on after. That Cleveland is so overextended. He is so dead. He's going to try and do as much damage as he can to the enemy North Carolina before he's taken out. The enemy has captured D and is putting pressure on the two people that were in the area. We've lost someone at D2. So, for all of the success we're having, we are losing on some fronts. We're definitely going to lose this Cleveland. There's no way he's not going to die. The best thing he can do is do as much damage as he can to a North Carolina. The Cleveland is terrifying in a battleship. I usually try and kill them as quickly as I can when I'm in my battleship, and I certainly won't pass up a chance to one-shot a low-health target. The North Carolina, though, is really weird. He's completely ignoring this Cleveland. And we're going to try and hold our fire until we're right on top of the North Carolina, and then probably send torpedoes towards him. The concealment module that I've picked up, 2 million credits, it's really expensive, but it really improves the U.S. destroyer gameplay immensely. You can now get right up to the enemy before they even detect you. Get in a position to use your torpedoes because between 3 and 5 kilometers, it's basically point blank. If you can make the enemy make a mistake, you can basically land all your torpedoes and annihilate them. The North Carolina is broadside with my allies. They do a huge shot on him. I confirm that the Nagato doesn't take much damage from the North Carolina. Keep in mind, there's an enemy Alba that sees me. He's very low. He can see that I am an easy prey to take out, and we want to make sure that we're sailing as angled as we can to the enemy Alba. Friendlies take out the North Carolina. We boost our way to close in the distance on the Alba. We're going to be spotted for 10 more seconds. I'm not going to fire. I want to re-stealth. And once we re-stealth, we'll have probably 1 to 2 kilometers where he doesn't know our intentions. And this is really how destroyers should be played. You should be deceptive to the enemy. We dropped off the radar. He didn't have the accuracy bonus. He completely missed. We're going to show back up in 200 to 300 meters. And when we do, we're going ham on him. We know we're spotted, and that's exactly what we plan on doing. We kind of bait him to fire. So what I like to do is I like to angle my destroyer towards one direction. When I see him fire, I immediately pull the rudder the opposite direction. And usually, it's a hard shot to land for the enemy. Of course, it wouldn't be a Benson game without one of my main battery guns being taken out. And Friendlies take out the Alba. That enemy force, the 3 enemies that captured D, is coming back to fight us. It looks like it's gotta be at least 2 battleships. There's 3 enemy battleships and a cruiser left. That's kind of terrifying, but we're in a destroyer. We are kind of the hard counter to battleships. We can get in close, avoid their fire, and torpedo them, and that's the plan. And still, no one captured A. Finally, a battleship goes to capture A. We have B and C, obviously, and most likely we're going to lose C because there's too many enemies in the CD area. We just have a friendly cruiser that can't really hold his own. He can't hide as well as I do. He sent out torpedoes, so he's a Japanese cruiser. Probably not going to make contact with the enemy battleship, but if he makes one contact, cause flooding, he has to use damage control, and that makes him susceptible to more torpedoes. He brakes hard to avoid the torpedoes. They are unsuccessful. Now he's showing his side to me, conveniently, because of those torpedoes, and we are going super hard right towards his ship. I don't care that he's a battleship. This is how you gotta play destroyers against battleships. And I was hoping those torpedoes would make contact. No! He's able to slow up and not take any, but it's a head-on collision. Who's gonna brake first? I'm not braking. I know exactly what I want to do to you, buddy. He wants to do the same to me. Remember, Tirpitz has torpedoes. He sends his out. We sent ours out. We led him a little bit because we knew he would turn away. We're able to completely avoid the torpedo strike, and we land everything. Plus, none of the torpedoes miss the target, so they don't go towards the ally. That was somewhat dangerous for my team, but high accuracy led to success without any failure on my part. 2 enemy battleships capture C. They're coming towards me. I'm going to use this giant island to screen my position and then ambush one of them. The enemy cruiser is an Atlanta. Okay, the Atlanta is terrifying with battleship backup. If he's in range, you need to take him out. And I tell my team my strategy: I'm hiding behind the island. Make them come to us. I hope that the Mayoko will turn and angle to keep the island in between his position and the enemy. And initially I was thinking, okay, it looks like they're all going to go on the left side of this island because that battleship on the far right side made to look like he was headed on the left side of the island in my position. But it looks like they're going to split it. The enemy Atlanta is going to go left. The enemy Tirpitz is going to go right. I don't really want to use my torpedoes on the Atlanta. He's not really worth the torpedoes. And we are considering using the torpedoes, but that enemy battleship is getting really close. And the Atlanta is angled away, so he'll have extra time to maneuver if he sees the torpedoes. We got to take this battleship out. We see the other battleship. He's much lower health than the enemy battleship that disappeared right on the other side of this island. And he's going to show up any second now. Okay, we see him. It looks like he's hugging the island. He might suspect that I am hiding and trying to get him with a torpedo. A lot of times, you'll see players hug the island to avoid torpedo strikes. If they're right up against it, they can slam their ship into the island and stop immediately. We send out our torpedoes, narrow spread. Looks like one's going to clip the island. Look how close he is. He's going to avoid all those torpedoes. No, nothing's going to hit. And that island saved him. We were going to land 2 torpedoes, but the island clipped him. We got smoke, and he wants to kill us bad. He has HE loaded too. We have to use damage control. We need to angle. He's only fired his front 2 guns, but his back 2 guns are not in position to fire. He's widening his turn. He's going to have them available. Here they come. He lands a really big shot. We send out torpedoes. Narrow spread. We pop smoke. If we come to a complete stop, we have allies who are spotting for us. Hopefully we can take him out with this spread. Doesn't look like he's able to avoid. We're going to land 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 torpedoes. We cause only 1 flooding. Looks like he immediately puts it out, and he uses his heel. We're down to only 2 guns, and He's healing for quite a lot, and he's looking right at us. Within 2 kilometers, remember, 2 kilometers, he will immediately spot me. Doesn't matter that I'm in the smoke. Because whenever I was on the other side of the island, he didn't have line of sight, but because of his location, he could sense I'm there, like hear me or whatever. First set of torpedoes are up. We do a wide spread, and we got to bail on the smoke, obviously, because we want to stay greater than 2. He fires everything. Oh! Takes out another gun completely, but we got our torpedoes off in a wide spread. We only need 1 or 2 to make contact. He is history. And we get the 2 that we need. High caliber, yes! Since Last Stand exists on the ship, the propulsion isn't crippling. We're able to escape and not be dead in the water. We still have this enemy battleship. The friendlies took out the Atlanta, and I'm like, whew, that was a close one. Far too close, I would say. But 4 kills, huge torpedo damage, 16 torpedoes made contact. It's really, really fun to kill battleships and destroyers like that, and they can't complain that they didn't know I was there. Me, all skill. 15,000 XP, it was 3 times high caliber, 2 devastating, again 4 kills, base XP of 2,984. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It just is awesome. Love having the Benson with concealment. It's a completely different ship. We did around 140,000 damage. I love this game. It was so fun to ambush so many targets. I hope you have a great day, and I'll catch you next time.